approaching 3,000 reviews at this stage. In fact, maybe, yes, perhaps over 3,000 reviews on Andrew's Maximum Omega-3. Again, simple statement backed up by all the science and all the know-how that Andrew and his team delivers. The best Omega-3 product in the world. There's not going to be any fishy aftertaste. It's going to be easy on your stomach. As Andrew's kind of diving into it, I'll showcase Andrew's Maximum Omega versus some of the others to show you how his is so much smaller to consume, yet is much more potent, Andrew. That's the thing, that's the miracle about your Omega-3 product. It's better and it's easier to take.
Well, if one has made the decision to make a superior omega-3 product that eliminates the problems that are easily recognized with the typical omega-3 product, it has to be different. So the first thing we needed to change is we needed to eliminate that enormous capsule that most people hate to swallow. We had to eliminate the fishy aftertaste. We had to eliminate the nausea and the upset stomach. These are all things that had to be eliminated. Plus, we wanted to make a product that delivered a full 500 milligrams of omega-3 per capsule, because that is the typical recommendation by most doctors, most cardiologists, most optometrists, ophthalmologists, that 500 milligrams. Some folks who might have specific health conditions or issues might have a recommendation for 1,000, but those folks could simply take 2 capsules. The typical omega-3 product is about 300 milligrams of omega-3s. Also, they're in a synthetic form, they're not in the natural form. Also, they focus on EPA principally and only secondarily on DHA. We focus on DHA first, EPA second. We also are all natural. The reason why we focus on DHA is if you look at why people take an omega-3 product, it's usually heart health first, brain health second, eye health third. Guess what the principal omega-3 in those 3 organs is? DHA, not EPA. So all of the products that use the commodity, the industrial standard, which is higher in EPA, they're ignoring your needs. They're ignoring the needs of the human body. We have had, our omega-3 is specially made, specially formulated, specially balanced for us. In fact, I'm hoping that next year we'll shoot some footage from the facility. We go all the way to Norway to get the finest, sustainably harvested omega-3s in the world. So it's something that I'm very proud of. We don't just buy standard commodity omega-3s like everybody else. Our omega-3s are like everything else we do. It is a very intentional decision that requires a great deal of soul searching, especially when it comes to omega-3s, how to do it properly. Because it's not just science, it's also the environment. So we want to make sure that we're not just getting the best form and the best balance, and of course the natural form. We want to make sure that those omega-3s were harvested in a way that's responsible, that's not adversely affecting the environment as well.
And I just put out the lineup, Andrew, so everybody can see, again, the difference between yours and theirs. These are substantially larger. And I think it's very sad that for many of us, the idea of taking any types of vitamins or supplements is really a burden or a heartache. It's not something we enjoy. It's not something that's pleasant. And I know you have really fought to change that experience. And just the fact that it's a smaller capsule makes this better. It makes it a more of an enjoyable experience. It's the little things like that that have a big knock-on effect.
Plus, when you're looking at those capsules have some unusual colors added to them.
Right.
Ours do not. Those capsules contain what's called the ethyl ester form of omega-3s, which is a synthetic form, which when your body processes an ethyl ester, it liberates trace amounts of ethanol. Ethanol is alcohol. If I want to be consuming ethanol, I'm having a glass of wine. I'm not consuming my omega-3s. Ours is a natural triglyceride form. That is the more active form. That is the natural form. That is the form that Mother Nature designed. That Mother Nature designed for fish and also for us. So to make it any other way is just disrespectful to the person who's consuming the product. So we follow the natural blueprint, and we follow it in a way that means that we have to ignore the industrial materials that are out there, and we have to have something specially made for us. because the industrial materials ignore the blueprint, ignore the science, and ignore the natural blueprint. So again, ours requires that we take an entirely different approach. That's why many people ask why I manufacture my products, because most vitamins, almost all vitamins, are made by contract manufacturers. Well, if you wanted the same quality of all those other vitamins made by contract manufacturers, then we wouldn't be making our products. If you want something unique, special, that gets average reviews, an omega-3 product that's reviewed at 4.7 stars, that requires that we go to extreme lengths to